Okay, we are live. I am attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Miss G, Georgette Truin. Hello, Miss G. How are you this evening?
I am fabulous. Thank you.
And I want to welcome our new co-host, who will also have a show of her own during the week in the mornings, Miss Deidre Payne. Miss Payne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I had
Ironically,
my first show this morning, actually.
All right, and I want to welcome our guest tonight, our very special guest, Mr. James Bayless. Mr. Bayless, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me, Vince.
My pleasure. So tell our folks where you're from and how you were involved with CPS.
Well, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I recently moved up to Henderson to get out of the cesspool. Child services. Ironically, my situation stemmed from the school system. Anytime you try to, so my son's a sped student, so anytime he gets bullied at school or gets beat up at school, when I try to make a complaint about the school and what they're not doing, child services end up coming to my house for neglect, medical neglect, endangerment, whatever they can think of at the time. So far, I've had 9 investigations in 4 years. Not one of them is stuck. I laugh at them at the door because I kind of shut the investigation down from the beginning. I asked them one question. My son's been alive for 16 years, never been sick or had a bump on his head that CCSD didn't create. So how many kids have died in your custody in 16 years? What makes you qualified to be at my door? They kind of just shut up after that and kind of go away. So,
well, have you had any problems?
Excuse me?
Did they take your children away at some point?
No, I've double dog dared them. I've triple dog dared them to let me go to court. I was like, I'll rip you people to shreds. Because I have documentation. I have documentation from the school a mile long with emails. I have videos. I have voicemails. I have call logs. So there's no way in heck they could try to trap me in. I cover my 6 every step of the way.
Have they ever?
And my house has video. So even when they come in my house, they're on video.
Has CPS ever threatened to take your children away?
On numerous occasions. They every time they came to my house, they threatened me. I was like, it's ironic. Then I showed them the video from the last person that came to my house. I was like, no one ever looked into this investigation yet. I did an institutional report for the school system. I did reports about the situation of my son being bullied at school. His therapist did reports. My wife did reports. His other doctor did reports, and nobody will do anything. But if it's against us, they're quick. That's that truancy program. The schools pay out the CCSD or child services to go after the parents, but they won't come to help us.
So let's assume you're talking to the world tonight. What could you tell people that have CPS cases that would help them in their struggles?
Well, number one, when you're at your door, shut off emotion. They use it against you. You cry, you act sporadic, you raise your voice or out of control. Now you're an out of control parent that's not safe to be around a kid. They use your emotions against you. Like I was saying in your last meeting, the PSYOPs, they say things to initiate an emotional response to use it against you later. Which I even called them out. I even told them, I was like, first rule of PSYOPs, you only can use that when somebody's not familiar with it. I was like, you can't, I was like, the playbook you're using, I've read too. You can't use it against me.
Tell us about PSYOPs because I believe workers are trained at this. Tell us about that.
PSYOPs, basically, they would dig through your life and find your most secretive and vulnerable points. Say like, we'll go with this lady in the middle. I forgot your name. Not Miss G, but the other lady. Say you're okay. So say your sensitive nature of your kid's disabilities. The first thing they're going to say is, well, your kid's disabilities is because of you, because you didn't do something. So they want you to get anxious. They want you to get upset. They want you to get mad. So they'd be like, "Oh, he's out of control. He has anger problems." Now all of a sudden you're a bad parent. Now, and they say things to initiate. They try to play on your weaknesses basically, and use it against you, which is disgusting. And my question is, I don't understand why Child Services even has access to go to people's houses. They're a nonprofit org. They're not even part of a court system. They are not even no legal official at all. They have really no rights to be at your house, especially when they come to your house with no court order. The only way I think they should be able to come to your house is with the court order. If they don't have one, they shouldn't be at your door because they're no different than you and me.
How did you? How many times do you think you've been investigated or approached by CPS?
9 in 4 years.
9? What are the
9
allegations?
Times in 4 years.
What are the allegations?
Medical neglect. The first one was medical neglect, and I rebutted that by telling him my kid's seen the same doctor since birth. He has yearly checkups every July. That's not called a neglect. That's called consistency. So have a good day. And then they tried to hit me for me not taking my medication. Oh, this is the best one you're going to love, Vince, because I know I've watched your history, and I've watched some of your other past parents. This one they're going to love. They came at me for not taking my medication, and I had weapons. Okay? My first question to them is, how do you know what medications I'm on if you're not my doctor? And then they had no response. That's like, can we get a list of your medications? So I gave them what my doctor said. So long story short, my medications is ibuprofen for my back and marijuana. So Child Services was basically coming to my house to make sure I was smoking my weed. How weird is that? And I even asked them, I was like, didn't you used to arrest people for that? How the hell are you coming to my house to make sure I'm doing it now? This makes no sense. Then they tried to come at me for academic neglect because some crap that the school was doing, and I ended up proving that it was the school doing and not me. Then they came at me again for neglect and then endangerment. Basically, none of those charges stuck.
Did they ever threaten you to take you to court?
Oh, they threatened to take me to jail a couple times. And I told him, I was like, well, let's go to jail. I was like, I'll be out by morning, and we'll be in court by the next week.
Miss G or Miss Payne, did you guys have any questions for Mr. Bayless?
Go ahead, Deidre. Go
Put
ahead.
me on the spot. I mean, I don't want to sound rude by all means, but shoot, it sounds like you already got all your questions answered. It doesn't seem like you really need any
Well, no,
questions
what I was
answered.
wondering, what I needed help with, Vince, is I'm about to, I'm going pro se in federal court, and I'm actually going against Child Services, and I'll be going against CCSD, and I can
so you
prove
have a case
racketeering.
or you don't have a case?
Oh, I actually just filed a pro se federal court yesterday. AKY, I was happy I got on here today, so that way I could talk to him. Because I'm in Las Vegas, so I'm right across the street from him.
I know, but does that mean that you do have a CPS case? Because
no, I don't have a CPS case. I'm filing in federal court against them. Basically, I'm taking them to court. They're not taking me to court.
You don't think that's going to rock the boat to where maybe now they will find a way to take your kids from you?
Well, I have the assistant director on call log. Her name's Abigail. She already knows about my situation. And I've pretty much kind of forewarned them, and my doctors forewarned them, and my VA rep forewarned them that taking my kid would be very dumb for the simple reason he's what keeps me on a straight and narrow and keeps me level. If you take the one thing that I have that keeps me anchored, what would stop me from going after them? I could go into a country unnoticed. What would stop them? They touched my kid. If they touched my kid for no reason, I would destroy them. They know this. I've told it to them to their face. And I was like, the worst thing that'll happen to me, I'll do 30 days in psych. But the factor is if you touch my kid for no reason, if I did something wrong, if I did something actually wrong to have my child hurt, I would expect my punishment. I would expect that to happen. But I'm not. I do everything I'm supposed to do for my child. I make sure my kid has everything beyond the call of duty.
What were you going to say?
So
Miss
you're
G?
filing yeah, okay. Never mind.
That's
No.
right, Deidre. Mute yourself, girl. Mute yourself. Okay. This is what I was about to say. James, with all due respect, I love parents, all parents. I do. I freaking do. Okay. That's why I work long hours. Okay. However, what you just said right now is not going to help you in any which way. It doesn't matter what your doctor says. It doesn't matter what your therapist said. It doesn't matter what the police station said. It doesn't, or a police officer said. It doesn't matter. When you're dealing with the social workers and the state, that's a whole new ballgame. There are people that the psychiatrist tells them, there's reports, psychiatrists saying, return the children to the mother immediately. There's nothing wrong with the mother. And the father should be investigated, and they still don't care. They don't.
I know,
care.
but
they
with the
want to-
caseworkers they've sent to my house, every time they came, which I had on video and I sent it to the assistant director, every time they came, they kept changing their story at my door. They came to me for 3 different reasons why they're at my door, but none of them made sense. And the
But
report
Miss
that
G,
she wrote
remember,
to
he's
them,
in Vegas. Vegas is, I heard, a lot more lenient when it comes to keeping kids away from their family. I think Mr. Davis had an attorney on before, Miss Ani, I think Jennifer Ani, that said that, that's one good thing about Vegas is that they're not as harsh as, unfortunately, California is. So maybe that's why you had, I don't know.
well, the bad thing is, though, what they do is go after like the black and brown kids, and they go definitely after the people in housing programs. If you're low income and you're not able to fight back, they will attack you.
Yep, that's true.
But if you have brains and money, they'll leave you alone.
Well,
But if you're,
low income also have brains.
they'll use it.
Just because, okay, but low income individual parents also have a brain. It's the money that's the problem.
Well, I guess the way I look at it, right? I guess the way I look at it, if you're a smart person, you wouldn't be broke because you would know how to make money. I guess I'm old Generation X, so I was always taught if you want something, go get it. It's not going to come to you. But today's generation, they expect it to be dropped in their lap like a COVID check.
I agree, but sometimes there's obstacles in the way. Also, that's out of your control. 100%.
I mean, the parents could be making good money, but they might have obstacles to prevent them to be able to afford an attorney that would actually fight for their children, and get them back.
Correct. And also keep in mind this, James, real quick, and everybody else out there, keep in mind that even a parent that has a great job and makes good money, they have their own business, etc. CPS gets involved, and guess what? All the classes they have to do, all this they have to do, drug testing every day or some time of day, they lose their
like
job.
That one guy you just had on the show yesterday. He has a really good job, and they were harassing him with drug tests and everything else. Yep, I remember that.
And that's crazy. That guy was making good money. Like, he literally had a very
His problem was he was paying too much.
Well, they traumatized the guy. They wanted him so crippled so he doesn't have a chance to fight. And the unreasonable shit that they put him through is disgusting to me. I mean, to the point where there was another, I don't know if you were watching, James, another show where one of our potential clients, she's not hired yet, but she was telling me that she was in court. The judge told her that she has to go file a restraining order against her husband. Now, or the social worker is going to pick up the children tomorrow, meaning go to the house and take the children from her. But she said, Your Honor, my ex has been arrested. Like, he's in prison. He's in state prison. How can I file a restraining order when he hasn't done anything? So anyways, the social worker recommended that she has to do that immediately. She left the courthouse at 4:45 p.m. and she had to go to the other side for a restraining order. She didn't have time. By the time she went there, it was closed. The window closed. So basically, she said, I couldn't do it. So when she called me, she said, they're going to take my kids. They're going to take my kids.
They give you impossible tasks that they know you can't complete.
There you go. They make it impossible, and they're unreasonable. Unreasonable.
Yep.
For the love of God. Then she said, Your Honor, I need a continuance to hire an attorney. He gave her only 12 hours.
And the sad thing is honestly, like, I've been following like Florida, and I've been following like your foster care system and how it runs.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're just running a big old grant farm.
Yep, I agree.
Because they're going after mental like disabled kids. They're going after like kids with disabilities. That's your top tier grant funds. Because now you get money for your resources. Now you get money for the therapy, the counseling, the parents. And all they're doing is paying out the foster parents the COC part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the parents are getting the like couple $100 where they're getting a couple thousand.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Because I found out with Help Us Out Nevada here in Nevada, they basically rely on the grant applications to get the top tier, and then just give you down to trinkle money, basically. Yeah. They tried to call me an alcoholic and an addict, and I laughed my ass off because I had letters from 5-star generals, from lieutenant colonels, from even the president stating, I've never drank a day in my life. I was always the driver for Liberty. So you can't call me that.
You had a letter from the actual president?
Yeah, from Bush. Hmm. I actually have a picture of me and Obama together.
That's
even though I didn't really like him too much, but he was all right. I didn't like the drone action that he was doing. Now, I even
Mr.
told him that he was dead wrong for those drones.
Mr. Bayless, tell us, because your video is not that sharp, but tell us how you know these folks.
What, all the presidency and everything?
Yeah.
Being a contractor, you do VIP details, guarding like VIPs, sheiks, oil guys, politicians, stuff like that. So doing that for 14 years, you kind of get to know a lot of people.
So you were a contractor for 14 years?
Yep.
And who did you work for?
Blackwater.
Okay. So everyone that's watching, if you want to know what Blackwater is or was, is it still going on?
No.
They're now called Academy.
Yep.
Okay. So you can Google Blackwater.
Yeah, I don't think you want to unless you want nightmares.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. That was not a pleasant thing at all.
No, at all.
James, tell me something. How did you get involved in joining Blackwater?
My dad knew Eric. Eric Prince was the owner.
I thought that I was under the impression, apparently incorrectly, that Blackwater only hired ex-military.
Yeah, normally they do, but my dad, he was with Eric. They were in the same boat together. So my dad's trained me since I was a sperm. So there ain't an MOS I can't do.
Tell them what an MOS.
I was basically trained from start.
Tell them what an MOS is.
MOS, that's basically your job. So EOD, you would be explosives. Close kinetic operations, you would be a wet work team. Yeah, there's various different jobs as far as that.
What's a wet work team?
Assassinations. Long story short. Assassinations, long story short. You would get a face on a clipboard and a name, and they would want that in a body bag. And you go get it. Basically. I would call that an assassination squad. They call it something different. I still say it's an assassination squad.
And what are you doing?
Last time I checked in the U.S., nobody is allowed to kill anybody except for a lethal injection or an electric chair. So we shouldn't have had no right.
How come you don't work for Blackwater anymore?
A lot of things went down I didn't agree with. My moral compass was not having it.
You
And
just
that's
have the
why-
one child?
And that's why I was glad that I didn't join the service, because otherwise I would have been brainwashed and not realized the moral compass of what was going on and what we were doing. I would have been, okay, yes, sir, no problem, bang, done. Okay, yes, sir, next one, yes, sir. No.
Are you training your son to follow in the same footsteps as your
No,
father
God,
did
no.
you?
No. I've actually explained to him how much of a bureaucracy and how dumb it is. And how the factor is they want 110% out of you, but when you get home, they don't even give you 5. Their idea of medical procedure is give you ibuprofen and water and tell you to have a good day.
Are you considered a veteran as far as benefits and stuff?
No, sir, I'm not, because I wasn't in the military, so I don't get VA. I only get SSI and Medicaid.
Have you ever thought about writing a book about your adventures or experiences?
No. I don't want a sniper
that
on my
be-
head later.
Oh, that would be considered a no-no.
Yeah. A lot of things that we did were left unsaid and should probably stay there. Because again, like I said, the contractors, they did everything the military wasn't allowed to do. I respect every boy every man and every woman that's ever put on a uniform. Those people were badass because they were doing it for the right reason. You know what I mean? Eric was there for the money. That was all.
Is your father still with us?
No, my mom just passed today, and my father passed 14 years ago.
Sorry to
Your
hear
mom
that.
just passed today?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you said? Oh, I'm sorry.
Was it expected or not expected?
Well, you never really expect anybody to really go, but it's a part of life, and she's old. I'm 17 years younger than my mom, so, and she recently got sick and she got diabetes, and I guess her body gave out, so she had to get one of those colostomy bags, and I guess it got infected, so shit happens.
So she had diabetes type 2?
Yeah. Luckily for me, I've never been diagnosed. I eat good. I take good care of myself, and I drink plenty of water.
Do you work out or walk or do anything exercise wise?
You smoke your cigarettes and your weed.
I run 4 miles a day.
Deidre, just
I run 4 miles a day with a 180-pound pack on my back, and I swim 3 miles a day.
And you're a smoker? Wow, that hats off to you.
Last time I went to my doc, my lungs are crispy clean. I ain't even got black, no nothing.
Wow.
But no, main thing I needed help from you, Vince, because I heard you were really good at federal court, and I was wondering if I could possibly app secure your brain and help me with dealing with them, because we can open the door to prove that child services is paid by the systems to go after the parents, and I could prove that they lie. So, which means we can open a door for a lot of other parents to be able to get out.
Okay, what questions did you want to ask me?
So, as far as federal court goes,
what?
as far as federal court goes, what would be because I have the whole laundry list of child services world, and I could prove that we're not allowed to mention names, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the superintendent of my school, he is attached to Las Vegas and also Florida, which I understand you guys have a lot of issues coming out of Florida. And that's Pinellas County, Hillsborough, West Palm, Miami-Dade, and the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance controls that whole section. If you look at each one of their board members, one board member covers one state. That's your truancy program through the school system. That truancy program and the task force with the judges, yeah, it's all from the schools.
And
They
what do
basically
you,
child services get paid $400,000 to go after us for the truancy program, but then look the other way if we make a report about them.
and what do you think the task force? What are they trying to do?
The task force covers the judges and everybody and the lawyers.
What do you
So
mean?
basically, they're all explicit of what's going on, and they're pretty much they sail us down the river.
So, what is your federal lawsuit going to allege, and what is it looking to do? Do you want an
Basically,
injunction?
I'm going for neglect, endangerment. I'm going for child endangerment, child neglect, academic fraud, and racketeering, extortion, terroristic threats. Because remember, 9 times coming to my house with no basis, those are considered terroristic threats. When you're threatening my child and you're threatening to put me in jail. So that's 9 counts of a terroristic threat right there alone on child services alone.
Do you have an attorney?
No. Every time I mention, again, you can't mention names. Every time I mention the director of compliance's name, I get hung up on. And I know from people I know from California, they all said that you're one person that's not compromised. So that's why I've been watching you and kind of trying to get a hold of you. Every lawyer I've came across seems to be compromised.
Are you? Do you have the lawsuit all drafted out and written out?
It's already filed. Because I have SSI and Medicaid, I give form of paupers, the long form. So I give free case, no fees. And it's already filed. So which means if you came in, you'd be co-counsel and you don't have to pay shit.
Did you pay for, did you have everyone served?
We just filed it in court. We're waiting for the judge I just did it yesterday. So I got to wait for the 2 weeks for her to do everything and send it back to me. And then I do all that. AKY, I was glad this meeting came today with you. So that way I could get a jump on it.
So you filed in your district's
in federal court, yeah.
They have most districts have a pro per section where they process the cases that are in pro per. Did you file like that? Civil rights pro per?
I don't know. I just went to the desk, gave her the paperwork, signed a paper, gave me a court date, gave me my judge, and said, okay, in 2 weeks. I was in and out that building in 5 minutes flat.
Are you the only plaintiff, or is it you and your family?
Me and my son.
Okay. Miss Payne, what are you doing? You going on your nightly walk?
No, I was waiting for my husband to get out of a class, but he apparently doesn't remember where I parked the vehicle, so I'm walking to find him because I didn't want to drive.
But yeah, because
I have a question about this.
Our superintendent also used to run the school system out of Florida. So whatever the problems that are in Florida, he brought here.
Give us an example. Give us an example of the problems you're referring to.
In Florida, we'll go with just Pinellas County, because I've been following a lot of the CPS cases in those groups with the parents that are outraged about child services. So I've been hanging around those. There's this chick named Amber. She had the same situation as me where the sped system was jacked up and the school went after her. She was my worst case scenario. She's what could have happened to me if I wasn't smart enough to get out of it. But they screwed her and they took her kids from her. And then I explained to her of what was in my investigation. So I gave her names and I gave her information. Lo and behold, the very people that I'm talking about was attached to her judge and her attorney. So I could prove that Jara has, sorry, I didn't mean the name, superintendent has connections to the Florida system. So it's pretty much one big circle. And they all cover each other.
Is that part of your lawsuit?
Yes, that's part of the RICO. Because I have racketeering 12 times over on 12 different offenses.
I want to give you a little warning.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes lawsuits don't go the way you think you're going to go. And if you're deemed to have a frivolous lawsuit, which I don't know that you do or you don't, you could be monetarily sanctioned. So I hope that you're going
Well,
to
the good
consider.
news is, Vince,
Mhm.
with your type of caliber, sir, I would never come to stepping to you half-ass because I know the type of reputation and person you are. If you look in your chat box, you will find a YouTube. I didn't come half-stepping. I got videos, documents, email trail, docs. There is no way they can wiggle out of this one, boss. There's no way they can deny or wiggle their way out of this one.
Who's this YouTube video of?
That's me talking to the school board.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it in the stream.
You're more than welcome. You can use any video you want there. And but yeah, I have child services. I have the director and I have the human resources director. I have both of them, and they've all agreed with me that CCSD is pretty jacked up. And the fact that I know about their truancy program, they won't bother with me because they don't want me to get in court and that to be in front of a judge. They don't want that on the record, the fact that they're actually paid to go after us. I have the grant showing it from the DOJ of how much they're getting, and have the grant coming out of the school system to child services and how much they're getting paid.
How much money are we talking?
$400K. Here, hold on. I'll do one better for you since I love you. I'll put it right out in this so you can go read it. You want the DOJ file or you want the one coming out of the system?
Both.
Okay, copy. Here, I'll just do this for you. Make it easier. Hold on. Okay. Here you go. I will just send you this. This is the full pipeline, the juvenile pipeline I have. That's pretty much what I call it. The juvenile pipeline, putting the kids in the jail, putting kids in child services, and taking the kids away from the parents. There's your Dropbox, boss. That's all your docs coming out of Vegas. That's your DOJ grant. That's your grant coming out of schools. The list of everything that's going on with legislature coming out of child services about my system.
Okay, I haven't looked at this link, but I'll post it for the viewers.
So you know, the person's name that we're not allowed to mention, that one of the directors, she gave me those files and letting me know what Clark County School District was doing.
Do you want me to post this for
You
everyone?
are more
to
than
see?
welcome to use whatever you need, boss. I wouldn't give it to you otherwise. If it can help another parent get out of some crap, by all means.
Okay. I haven't looked at this, so I don't
That's
know
why
what's
we're
in
here,
it.
right? To help everybody else because they don't know how to navigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the problem is you can't, and I want to say something to all the parents that are watching. When they're at your door, you cannot let them bully you. You can't let them talk you out of your head. You have to control the flow of the conversation. And if they ask you a question, answer with a question. That way they can't get a direct beat on you and you keep them guessing. If once they have a beat on you, once they have the beat on you, then they have you. Don't give it to them. And don't give them no ammo to use against you.
That's true. I like that. Don't give them ammunition because they will use it. And a lot of parents react and they become violent and they don't understand that this is all a setup. They want you to react. They want you to look like you're crazy. That's all they want.
And me, I'm just a condescending butthole to them.
But it's hard though, James.
And they
it's hard not to act crazy though. It's hard. A lot of parents, well, I'm not saying go over the board crazy, but a lot of parents, it's hard to see their children just,
yeah, but the problem is with nowadays, emotions is your worst enemy.
It's always been like that. It's not just nowadays, James. It's always been like that.
Well,
but
yeah,
again,
but nowadays they've got a lot smarter to it.
True, I agree.
And they know how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you on that one too. It's crazy, but I agree.
But
I
with
really
the
have
task
nothing.
force, here's your key one, Vince. If you look in my case here, May 21st of 2020, you will notice 2 judges went on administrative leave in family court. Judge Boy and Judge Harder. The reason why is one was assault with a deadly weapon they tried to hit my son with. Those charges got dismissed. The second one was a terroristic threat that they tried to hit him with. He went to jail both times. They sent a mentally 5-year-old child, IQ of 62, to jail once for a long weekend and didn't get out till Tuesday. And then he had to spend the whole weekend in jail until Monday.
Oh my goodness.
He was terrified. And that's the main purpose of my lawsuit. They ruined his football career. They tried to call him a terrorist, and then they tried to call me a terrorist. They sent the cops to my house saying I made a terroristic threat. And all I did is tell them, I was like, bro, go read my Homeland file and have a good day. I was like, I used to kill those fools in short order. You can't call me that. And then I brought out my deck of cards, the 54, the most wanted in the Middle East. I was like, these are terrorists. I'm not one. My name's not in that deck.
I agree. You're an American. You're an American.
Actually, funny thing is I'm Cherokee Indian, so I'm about as American as it gets.
Oh, wow. That's even better.
And that's the other thing, Vince. They came to my house with no court orders. That is a violation of native law. They are not supposed to come to my house without a court order in hand. When they arrested my kid twice, I follow under native law, so they had to have a warrant first. When Child Services came to my house all 9 times, they had to have that paperwork before they could come to my door. That's in native law. That's right there, federal law. They have to do that. And because my son's Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Japanese, there's more native laws under the Hawaiian area that they have to have a piece of paper to even come talk to him.
Hey, Miss G.
So they violated all the way around.
Miss G, do you have any questions? Or James, do you have any other questions? We're moving towards the end of the show.
So yeah, Vince, if you could help me in federal court, I don't want your other gentleman that I spoke to on the phone. That guy's an ass clown. I would much rather have you. Yeah, me and him had a great verbal vocabulary conversation.
I could see that happening.
I know who you're talking about too.
When did you talk to him?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
That man told me I need to give him $25,000, and I was like, my man, the VA don't pay that well. And I was like, if I had 25 racks to pay you, I don't think the former paupers would have went through. And I was like, my man, I was like, I know you're not Vince, so I don't expect you to have intelligence. I was like, how about you get the secretary off the phone and get me Vince? He got pissed off because I called him a secretary. And I told him, I was like, I understand your job, bro. I was like, you're the secretary, but do me a favor, get out from under Vince's desk and tell him to get him a cup of coffee and tell him I need his help.
Hey, James,
my man hung up on me. My man hung up on me.
You're making friends and influencing people, James.
No, his problem was he thought he had a law degree and he could talk down to me. I'm the wrong guy. Especially when I have a 165. I have a 165 IQ. You can't talk down to me.
Oh my God.
Especially when I'm 14-0 on my own. I'm 14-0 against this whole system. I went on my own against them and won. You can't talk down to me. Just federal court's out of my realm. It's out of my length of water. I'm in new territory.
Okay, James, hold on a second, James.
Miss G, did you have any questions or anything before we
no, but I do like to answer questions from the audience though, please.
What questions were you referring to?
I think Yali Yoli had one. Um,
8-month daughter. I was just reading that.
she's currently 8 months pregnant, and her daughter is in foster care. And I go back to court June 20th. I believe her question is, Yoli, if I'm not mistaken, is that you are worried about the unborn child. She has a CPS case. She has a court hearing on the 20th, and she's concerned about her unborn child because you do, as we are aware that they do come after the newborn when you have a CPS case.
Okay, so
So
I don't know what the
the
question
question is, what can you tell her to help her? I don't know, them not taking yeah, I was right. She said yes, I was right. Damn, Yoli, I was right. I talked to too many people. I think that's what it is. I'm psychic now.
So
But
here's
I
the
guess
question on that one.
her question is, what can you tell her to save her unborn child?
Well,
What
that's a
advice?
great.
I honestly think if they use the legislature as far as unborn child that's not a person, that's why
James,
you're
that's
able
not
to
for
abort it.
you. That question is for an
Oh, sorry.
attorney, Mr. Davis. Hold on, James. Okay, go, Mr. Davis.
Attorney Bayless, let me handle this one, okay?
Yeah, let Davis handle this one.
Okay. Yoli, now here's the problem. I haven't reviewed your file, but the answers are all across the board. I mean, from on one hand, do nothing at all, to the other hand, leave the state, move to another state or country. And then there's everything in between. So I don't know what you're being accused of, what types of services that you've participated in, or anything like that. So it's difficult for me to say what you should do. I mean, we had our psychic, Miss G, tell us what you thought you were asking, but we're going to be on for a couple more minutes. Why don't you throw your question in the chat and let me answer that specific question, okay? Deidre says leave the country. Okay, here is Yoli with the memo. Go ahead and read it for us, Miss G.
I just had some questions. I do have a CPS case open. My daughter is currently in foster care, and I am about to be 8 months pregnant. I am currently living with my father, so pretty much they told me I can be here up I can be here up until I have the baby, and then I wouldn't be able to come back because my dad was listed as a violent as too violent to be around kids. He had a case open, I guess that a case opened back in 2008 that was sealed and closed, and then there was referrals for myself because I was rebellious. I was a rebellious child. I was a runaway, but they were, and that's it.
Okay, so folks that are watching, here's something that I want to mention. I'm asking Yoli what her question is, and she's telling me a story. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because this is a mistake a lot of people make going to court. And James, I want you to listen to this. Maybe I'm too much of a lawyer, but if I say to you, what color was the light at the time of the accident, don't start the story of what you had for breakfast. Okay?
Answer
So,
direct.
Yoli,
Orange.
yeah, Yoli, what is your question? And put a question mark after it. All right? We have Deidre. Deidre's participating more in the chat than on camera.
We're so used to seeing her on the chat. That's why.
So am I wrong, Vince? Like as far as like when you're on the stand, when they ask you a question, instead of going into a long dialogue, just keep a short point to the done.
Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. Look, I'm going to tell you something. I represent currently someone who has a criminal case, it's a very minor criminal case. It's not even a felony, it's a misdemeanor. And the deal they're offering, the client doesn't want to take. So we're going to end up going to trial. Now, I called someone I know, a very experienced attorney who's an expert at the Jerry Spence method and above, and I asked him how much would he charge to prepare the client to testify at trial. Okay? So now I'm talking about stuff, James, you probably have never even heard of. And he told me that in order to prepare the witness, he charges $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even charging $5,000. But he told me, and it's true. Whether you have $1 million case or a life term case or a capital case, witnesses are prepared the same way. Now, you can do the economic way, all right, and take your chances. You could do the Honda method. So there's Nissan, there's Honda, there's Cadillac, there's Mercedes, and then there's Rolls Royce.
Mm-hmm.
Like which way do you want to go? So
Maserati?
I'm telling you, James, it's not as simple as what you were saying.
Oh, I understand that. That's why I was coming to get brains.
And by the way, Deidre says Jerry Spence. It's Jerry with a G, Deidre. If anybody wants to Google Jerry
Hey,
Spence.
Vince.
Yeah.
If you go look at that link I sent you at the very bottom, you'll see who and what I do here in Vegas.
Okay. Oh, you have another link you put on there?
Yeah.
Here, let me.
That's actually that's my business card and my credentials.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and I'll post it in the comments for everyone to see.
And if you don't know what Veterans of Politics does, we are people that observe the courthouses for family court, for custody hearings, father's rights, factors like that, and we unseat corrupt judges that have their hands in the cookie jar, and we bust politicians.
Hey, guys, if I just may, Yoli, could you please let us know if you're in California, your case is in California or out of state? Because I do know in California, Nancy Skinner law was in a full effect of January 2022, that stops any obstacles, removes any obstacles, that hinders. Okay, you're in California. That's good to know. That hinders the social workers holding the past against the family members. It's called the Nancy Skinner Law 355. I can't remember, but I will take a snapshot of it and text it to you. Just call the office, the 888 number that you see on the screen, right next to Davis on the bottom of the screen. Call that number and ask for Miss G, and I will definitely text you the article for that, okay, to help you. But there's a new law that took place last year. Sorry, in 2022, it was last year, and it stops any obstacles, removes any obstacles that will hinder family placement. If they have a record from gazillion years ago, and they pose no risk threats to the child currently, meaning there's nothing else after that record, and your dad lived a good life, a clean life, they cannot by the new law, hold that against them. So just to keep that in mind. But if he's still a threat to society, a threat to himself, and a threat to children, then that law is not going to be good for you to use.
Everyone, I just posted Grace at vincentwdavis.com in the chat, and that is the email of our producer. Anybody that wants to be a guest, please email Grace and we'll have you on, just like we've had James on. And now here's something, James, because I like your energy. I want you to email Grace, and I want you to do a show for me at least once a week. You can do more, but at least once a week. And let me tell you the reason why. you have an energy and you have experiences that a lot of us don't have. You've experienced life on a way that a lot of us wouldn't even believe, right? And you have a unique observation post in terms of battling the government and battling these workers. And I find it refreshing, to be honest with you. So think about it if you'd like. It's a non-paid job, so
You I have your back 100%, sir. And I don't say that to many civilians.
I
I think
appreciate
he
that.
would be great. I like him. I like
So,
James because he speaks his
Oh,
mind.
and I was going to tell you, Vince, what they do also with us veterans, if a father's out there with that's having this problem, they also try to use your PTSD against you.
Yep.
of course.
They tried to do that with me, and I laughed at them. You know why? I already was aware of they were coming, so I had my doc already do a psyche eval. I beat him to the punch. The last time they came to my door, I had a packet waiting for her. I was like, I was expecting here. Here you go. And their face looked like they got stuck in the headlights. Again,
That's a good question.
it's pretty
actually.
hard to come at somebody
Hold
when they
on,
see you
James.
coming.
Yes, I agree. Hold on, baby. Hold on, sweetheart. So, Mr. Davis, can you answer it's nap time, please? Question.
Why don't you read it for us?
Okay, can DCFS terminate my parental rights for not completing any of the random drug drops they scheduled? But I do not have any means of transportation, no license, no car, no LOC family, no local family, I guess. And I live I live I guess in a small town, so there is no public transportation, and I am currently enrolled in school and not working now. This is something that DCFS has known since day one, and blah blah blah. Okay, look, I do understand this much that when you don't have transportation or money, they do give you bus coins, depending on how far you are from the where you have to go. They do give you bus coins. So that way, basically, your attorney, your court appointed attorney, needs to request that. That's what I know. But Mr. Davis can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, nap time. One of the reunification services that you're supposed to get is transportation costs like bus pass. Ms. G said bus coins in the
I'm
old days.
sorry. It's a coin. It's a coin. It's not a pass anymore.
In the old days, it was the bus pass.
Here in
But-
Vegas, it's a card swipe.
And be that as it may, I've even heard of DCFS having to give gas for transportation, especially where they place kids, out of the county and that kind of stuff.
$35.
But the answer to your question, nap time, is yes, they can terminate your parental rights. What you and your attorney have to do is prove that there were no reasonable reunification services, and therefore that would delay the termination of your rights 6 months every hearing. But if you don't bring it up, it's not going to be brought up, and you will lose your parental rights. Hey, Miss G, we're way past our time this evening. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank James Bayless for coming on and sharing his story with us. And we're going to be on tomorrow night. James, if you're still listening, don't forget, email Grace at grace@vincentwdavis.com and tell her that you would like to be a host on one of our platform shows. I want to invite everyone that's watching on YouTube to please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really like what you hear, consider being a member of our YouTube channel. There are a lot of perks and benefits that go along with that. And if you're watching us on Facebook, one of the Facebook platforms, do the same, please. Please like, give us a hug, and send some stars to us. All right, Miss G, thank you very much. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.